Thank you everyone for coming. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our system in the 5 minutes that I have. About a year ago, my partner, James Yen, was on a fishing trip in the Gambia. Now, he formerly was a senior analyst at CIFC, one of the world's largest hedge funds, and he lost his credit and his debit card, and he had to get a remittance from Western Union. And he called me up and he said, you know, I just paid 25% on receiving $1,000. I got less than $750. And I said to him, well, isn't it just 1 or 2%? And he said, yeah, that's on the sending end, but on the receiver's side, Western Union has the foreign exchange part locked up. He said, can you build a system where the fees would be under 5%? So we did some research, and we found that problems in the industry today include obviously high remittance fees, high cross-border fees, and high merchant fees with delays in processing. And so after more research, I said, well, I decided to look and see what are some existing solutions today. And what I found are mostly of the 19 or so ICOs in the lending and payment space, most of them are providing pools of lending where anybody could participate in the lending process, which is great for something such as like a farmer's cooperative. Then of course there's Ripple, which is basically an interbank network. They do allow remittance, but the fees are controlled by the bank, and there's also hidden fees that are bank-to-bank fees, which creates extra friction. So after a few months, I came up with this solution that we call NationPay, which is bank to client token wallet to anyone. Basically, that means that the token has a specific purpose, use, and definition. The tokens that a client receives are specifically from his bank account, where over 99% of the world's value is. It is in bank accounts. Everybody's talking about crypto solutions, but they still have to get their money out of the bank and put it into an exchange and then invest in a crypto token. So this first process of being able to take your money out of the bank and into a token solves many problems, and we'll go into those. This is a little bit about what the bank wallet would look like, where you could actually receive money from your account and put it into your token wallet, and then do fun stuff like shopping at your favorite merchant. Has anybody banked in China? Does anybody know what WeChat Pay is? Okay, quite a few of you. So WeChat Pay is a pretty excellent system. It allows the merchant to scan your QR code and then take the money out of your account. It is highly centralized, obviously, but the fees are very low. I respect that system. NationPay is basically a decentralized form of WeChat Pay with other special features. One of the things that we do by the token being defined as value taken out of your bank account and put into your token wallet is, on the bank side, the value that was in your bank account is now put into a reserve account at the bank. So from the bank's perspective, the dollar, that value, is still at the bank. This is extremely important because for debit operations, it means that the bank retains the float on monies that are being used in the economy at large. This has never before happened. It allows them to concentrate on their core business, which is lending, and use that money as collateral from borrowing from the feds and relending that money. It's a huge incentive for the banks to use our network. In addition, we have a patent pending on being able to transfer the promisee in the promisor-promisee obligation that the bank has with you. So when you get that token, you can now give it to a merchant to buy something, much as you would with WeChat Pay, except the way we do it is you scan their QR code, because you also put in the amount you wish to pay, because in the United States we're a little bit behind. We want to know and have control of what we're paying for, and we want to type that amount in. Just like when you go to the supermarket, you click, okay, is this amount acceptable? In China, they're a little bit more evolved in that sense. They just accept that whatever the merchant says the price is, and you push your button and it's done. Anyway, these are detailed minor points, but the point of that promisee being able to be transferred means that there's no settlement operation. So that means there's no payment processor, which means one less party in the mix in debit operations. In credit operations, there's a similar structure that we'll go over that allows Visa and MasterCard or any credit card company to be eliminated from the mix in a payment. So this speaks a little bit more about the same thing, the products that we offer and how we do it. Remittance particularly is being market-driven in our approach. One thing we haven't discussed yet, this is a multi-phased layout. In phase one, we were just commissioned by the nation of the Gambia. They approved a proposal of ours from last year. The central bank governor has approved it, where we'll be modernizing their financial system using NationPay. We'll be increasing the foreign reserve of that country. About 20% of the GDP of the country is remittance, and another 20% is tourism, which is similar to remittance. We will have NationPay ATMs at the airport, where people coming there on tourist visits will be able to exchange euros for their local currency, which is called the Dalasi. Moving along, let's see. Yeah, so this is a little bit about the patent we have in the space that just shows how the promisee can be transferred without a settlement operation, which is really the core of how our system works. And it's very important to protect the technology. This is why I believe tokens are near worthless today, 70%, 80% less than their peaks, because much of this technology is replicable. So the IP is important. There were a bunch of kids running around, anarchy. Like, I don't know if anyone here went to Acapulco. It was a lot of fun, but in Mexico, in Acapulco. But there's a lot of really intelligent guys that are against government, and it's great to be, but you have to understand that those same people are also very into open source, making sure everyone knows that what everyone else is doing, and it's extremely easy to replicate. And to say, oh, well, you're offering 1% fees, I'm just going to copy your GitHub, and now we're offering 0.3% fees, and now suddenly everyone's tokens are worthless because people are not working together to have some sort of domain uniqueness. So the patent pending is important. This is the unsolicited proposal that we have with several countries. As I said, the Gambia is on board. We have 2 other countries that we're in talks with and we're very close with that we can't tell you who they are at this point, but we will shortly. This is a little bit about what I was talking about before. What are the incentives for the bank to use our system? On the debit side, it is, of course, they can increase their float. They can maintain the float on monies that aren't even there. Typically, when monies are taken out of the ATM, the bank no longer has access to it. Now, for credit operations, the bank can now offer credit directly to a client in a credit account without having to go through Visa or MasterCard. So it's like your home equity line, for example. That money can be accessed just like cash and can be given to a merchant just like cash. Again, no credit, no settlement operation, no delays. The merchant can then take that bank token, say for example a Chase Bank token, and then they can give it to a wholesaler to receive goods immediately without delay. That the wholesaler provider can then take that Chase Bank token and remit it to a family member in the Gambia who we have a deal with. And again, and that's a free transaction. There's no remittance fee. It's 0% because it's token to token. At some point in the chain, somebody will want to take that Chase Bank token and bring it back to the bank, either through an ATM operation or going to the bank or just online depositing it into their account. There will be a small fee associated with that, about 0.25% or less. And the fees are low because we have an open exchange. This will be the first time that anybody can participate in foreign exchange. Not like Ripple, where just the banks create their own fees and have their own closed network. But this is a true decentralized exchange for foreign exchange fees, so that anyone who wants to be in that market, and the banks themselves will of course be in that market, but there will be no barriers to entry for other people who want to fly back and forth from the United States to Europe, or the United States to the Gambia, or wherever, and actually make a small percentage on millions of dollars in currencies in either direction. So That's about it. Why not just use Bitcoin ATMs, this high volatility, the Bitcoin's not pegged to any particular currency. You pay 5% in, 8% out with a Bitcoin ATM. Let's see, I did have a team slide that I wanted to show you all, but it doesn't seem to be going to the next slide. There is James on the team, there's myself. I have 20 years experience as a computer engineer. I've raised over 30 million in one of my earlier ventures, an AI company. I led a team of 120 developers. My co-founder Ben Gertzel is now the head of SingularityNet. He's also an advisor on our team. We have Bennett and Yannick Copeland. These guys are very, very exposed to Chinese markets and have their own ICO platform and analysis company and tech company. And we also have the former director of the Latin Development Bank out of Argentina, and also the former foreign prime minister to Paraguay on our team as well. And so a lot of talent helping us create our exchange. The NationPay exchange is Noah Silverman, PhD in statistics, who's based out of Hong Kong and has a lot of experience creating exchanges. So these are just some of our team members. Thank you.
Well, we're going to skip the normal part of the panel where the moderator impresses